And welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from Joy 99.7 FM in Accra at digital address GA0993341. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country including ATL FM Cape Coast, Radio Max Takrade, and around the world at myjoyonline.com. And coming up, shops of over 100 Nigerian traders at Abosokai shut down by their Ghanaian counterparts. We'll bring you details as the Nigerians vow to resist the closures.
Those goods are the warehouse. Where will I sell it? 100 million Ghana cedis. Where will I recoup my money back? If they want us to go, they can buy my goods today. I will go tomorrow. I'm tired of staying in this country in this kind of illegality.
We'll get the latest on the ground. Also, Member of Parliament for Asawasi and Minority Chief Whip takes on security agencies for standing by and concerned after MPP sympathizer allegedly pulled a gun at a registration center at Abuabo number 1.
Sometimes they even arrest the person without even knowing why they arrested the person. You see all this deliberateness. Some of the police officers and the military guys and the EC officials are in bed with the government and they are doing all this.
Also, Supreme Court strikes out request to restrain Johnson Kuyamwa Asiedu from acting as Auditor General. We have details as the court raises concerns over 2 lawyers representing Mr. Domilevo in another case. Also, leading member of the NDC, Atoa Hoy, says former MPP officials got away with crime because President Mills decided to ignore events of the past.
Mills was good, so he assumed that every human being was good. But in politics, they are very bad people. And when you encounter the bad people, you have to deal with them.
Later in sport, former Ghana striker Augustine Ahimful has commended Black Stars skipper Andre Dedeayu ahead of Swansea's championship playoff game against Brentford later tonight.
And later in the bulletin,
I never dey holla for my money, I call on my God. My people, let me hear you say,
latest leaks on musician EL. Stay with us, it's all coming up later on the Midday News. I'm Araba Koomson. Thanks for your time. Now, the leadership of the Nigerian Traders Association of Ghana is urging members to resist what it describes as oppression by the Ghanaian counterparts at the Obosokai spare parts market. President of the association, Chief Emeka Inaji, says they've had enough of the intolerance from their co-traders. About 100 Nigerian shops were locked by the Obosokai Spare Parts Association Tuesday night following accusations the Nigerians were operating illegally in the retail space.
Those goods are the warehouse. Where will I sell it? 100 million Ghana cedis. Where will I recoup my money back? If they want us to go, they can buy my goods today. I will go tomorrow. I'm tired of staying in this country in this kind of illegality. If government continue allowing them to continue working that way, they are putting our life in danger, and we should stop. So stop now. So stop now. Everybody should speak now. If not, I'm ready to die. Thank you very much.
Okay, but have they explained to you why they want your shops closed?
Why they explain? What explanation did they have? They import their own goods. I have told Clement to go and import goods and sell. What is the explanation? What right do they have? This is a somebody building. It's a residence. This whole area is a residential areas. Where do they want us to do our own trade? Inside our what? Let them go and listen. Let me tell you, if we go to Nigeria, there's many markets that are built by traders. They can control it. Let Abosokai or any trade union in Ghana go and buy a land, be their market, lock it, they were padlock. If they send in Nigeria there, they can sack him. Not when he went and go and rent somebody's apartment and they are doing business there, they will come and put padlock. Put padlock for what?
So that's President of the Nigerian Traders Association of Ghana, Chief Emeka Inaji. My colleague Maxwell Agbaba was there a while ago. Here's what he found.
A lot of them are becoming impatient. They say they've reported the matter to the police. Police is cooperating with them, but they are yet to come here this morning. Some of them have been speaking to us saying that they are scared to destroy the padlocks
So let's go live to Abosokai now because Maxwell is still on the ground. Tell us exactly what transpired there today.
Well, we understand that the exercise happened sometime in the evening and then early this morning when the members of the Abosokai Spare Parts Dealers Association went around and identified the Nigerian shops and then locked them up with their own padlocks. So what we actually observed there was that they had labeled all the shops that were locked. And one of the shops was actually labeled 57, meaning that was the 57th, shop that they closed, and that happened this morning. So the Nigerians really could not open their shop for business today. All of them congregated at the in front of the shop of the president of the association to lament and also pour out their hearts to him that they need some kind of intervention, from their leadership and the Ghana Police Service. Araba.
But I'm wondering, what's the situation there like? I mean, is it tension-filled? I mean, describe it to us. I mean, how are they relating to their Ghanaian partners?
Well, it's quite tense. I've seen some police vehicles around here in this market. Some of the vehicles are strategically positioned to ensure that the police will be able to escalate, any violence that would erupt here. Just some minutes ago, the leadership of the Abosokai Spare Parts Dealers Association went into a meeting with the Member of Parliament for the area. In that meeting also is the Kaneshi commander, and we are told that they are going to try and iron out the differences between the two groups. So really, if you come here, you can still feel the tension, the disagreement. If you walk in the market, you hear the Nigerian traders raising concerns about what they call continuous intolerance from their Ghanaian counterparts. You hear the Ghanaian co-traders also saying that they've taken over their businesses. They say that they've made the cost of renting shops very expensive since they are ready to pay whatever amount that is charged. And they're saying that most of them sell substandard products at very low prices. So really, the tension is still here, Araba.
You've been speaking to the Ghanaian counterparts, the Traders Association, the personnel who carried out the lockup. What have they been telling you? Well,
they say that one major problem associated with retail trade in Ghana, which is of concern to them, is the Abosokai Spare Parts dealers and the illegal influx of foreigners in their retail space. They say successive governments over the years have either been silent or treated the issue with kid gloves, and the current government is no exception.
Yesterday night, we have to go all out and close some of the shops. The reason being that we've seen that we are marginal. Nobody cares for us. No one cares for us. And we've been complaining all the time, but it seems the successive government and the current government they're putting blind sight to our story.
So that's Siam Pedu. He's a vice president of the Abosokai Spare Parts Association there. Earlier you heard my colleague Maxwell Agbagba, and stay tuned to Joy 99.7 FM. We will be bringing you updates on this developing story. Now, let's go to Kumasi.
Bro, who do you take orders from?
So those are sounds of disturbances that characterize the registration exercise at Abuabo Number 1, a suburb of Asawase in the Ashanti region on Monday. It's not clear what sparked the violence, but reports suggest an MPP agent, Yoshua Yakubu, pulled a pistol on the MP for Asawase Muntaka Mubarak's bodyguard, threatening to shoot if the security personnel doesn't vacate a registration center. Alhaji Muntaka tells Joy News he and his team have recorded many of such violent acts in the ongoing registration exercise in the constituency. According to him, although they've reported to the police, the matter has received no attention. He spoke to my colleague Erastus Asare Donko.
Yet we'll be here. Sometimes you just hear frivolous accusation about either our agent or some other person. They will call. Then the moment they go, he says, then they will just arrest him without even asking him anything. It's like they will know. It's not that they've even come to meet fracas or something. They just answer, where is he? Say this is. Then they will arrest the person. We'll go to the station and say, On what ground did you? Sometimes they even arrest the person without even knowing why they arrested the person. You see all this deliberateness. And I just have this to tell some of the police officers and the military guys and the EC officials who are in bed with the government and they are doing all these things. Look, Kwame Nkrumah's time came. It came to a time that when you mention Kwame Nkrumah's name and insult him, you go to prison. That passed. Buzia, even before Buzia, Afrifa, Akotoka, and General Ankara, they came. They did all that. It's passed. Buzia came, did Kokurum and all that. It's passed. Rawlings stayed for 19 years. It's passed. So shall this pass. But people should know, crime has no expiry date. We have chosen, because since this thing started, all the evidence we've gathered, arrested, and given to police, not a single action has been taken. So we've elected.
How many instances have there been?
So many. So many. I mean, you remember the Asantemai students? Ask what happened. The teacher, the student, we have the video, everything. You remember the, what do you call it, I wrote stated names to GES, to the police. Nothing happened. Look, let me even give you the most recent one. On Sunday, we had some guys in an oven that they were bars from Edumakase in the Kwabere West. We arrested them, we took their video, they were weeping. Oh, they didn't even know they were bringing them to Aswansi, they just promised them money and what have you. I told my guys, look, we seem to be tired of reporting to police. Look, let's just go and give it to the police.
So that's Minority Chief Whip and MP for Asawase, Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka there. Now, we're not getting the desired cooperation from the political parties to ensure electoral peace. That's according to officials of the National Peace Council, who insist they cannot force peace on the parties if they continue to disregard agreed arrangements to handle challenges during the electoral processes. At a two-day training workshop on Vigilantism and Related Offences Act 2019 in Sunyai, the Bono Regional Executive Secretary of the Council, Swala Abdullah Kwanda, said as a non-prosecutorial body, the best they can do is to just continue engaging with the political parties.
If you look at the underlying factors of all this violence in this election registration period, people busing people from different constituency to a constituency that they do not belong to. And they know it's against the law. But which people are doing it? It's the political parties. They are behind it. So are they cooperating? There is an arrangement or mechanism that if somebody is going to register and you do not agree, you suspect the person is not qualified to register, there is a process that you go through. You don't force the person out of the queue. The political parties have decided to disregard this mechanism. These are all things that we expect the political parties to know.
So that's Swala Abdullah Kwanda. He's the Bono Regional Executive Secretary of the Peace Council. A leading member of the NDC, Professor Atuahoy, says President Mills refused to prosecute some corrupt officials of the NPP because he wanted to forget about the past. In an exclusive interview with Kojo Yankson, Professor Ahoy said Professor Mills was probably too good for politics.
Many people in the NDC were very, very disappointed. And their disappointment is reflected in a role with President Mills. That even if he had done a quarter of what we think a politician should have done, maybe today's reaction of the NPP would have been different. But because they got away with it, they think that it's business as usual, and so they can continue. But I must tell you, President Mills, that's why some people said that he was not born. He was not a born politician. He had no business in politics because he didn't have that cutting edge. Because you don't always have to be good. Mills was good, so he assumed that every human being was good. But in politics, there are very bad people, and when you encounter the bad people, you have to deal with them.
Professor Atuahoy is a leading member of the NDC. Let's head to the courts now, and the Supreme Court has struck out a request to restrain Johnson Ekwuamwa Asiedu from acting as Auditor General. This was after the court had granted Deputy Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame's request to have Mr. Asiedu and Auditor General Daniel Domelevo struck out as defendants in the case. This is in the case filed by CDD Fellow in Public Law and Justice, Professor Stephen Asari, challenging the presidential directive that Mr. Domelovo proceeds on leave. Court correspondent Joseph Akablay joins us on the line with more. Joseph, tell us about the oral arguments in support and against the injunction.
And so Deputy AG Godfrey Yeboah-Dame had argued that as far as the law states, it says the two individuals who have been named as defendants, that is the Auditor General, Daniel Domelovo, as well as the Acting Auditor General, Johnson Esiedu Ekwama, have not taken any action which is the subject of litigation. He makes the point that it's actually the President who has asked one to proceed on leave and has asked the other to act in his stead. And so they should not be named as defendants, and rather it should be the Attorney General's office defending the presidential directive. The point was made by lawyers for Professor Asari, represented by Eric Alifu, to the effect that one is a beneficiary of the action, that is the Acting Auditor General, and the other is a victim of the action. And so he thinks they should be joined as defendants. But the court disagreed with that and proceeded to strike the two out as defendants in this particular matter. In terms of the injunction, once the court dealt with this aspect, the court said that it will mean that they cannot be injuncted because they are actually even not defendants anymore, and that the injunction should have been sought against the Attorney General because it's the President's action that is being challenged. And so that was also dismissed as well.
And Joseph, we understand that in another case against the Auditor General and the Audit Service Board, Mr. Domelovo has his own lawyer, even though the AG's office says they are representing him.
Yes, this is a case filed by private legal practitioner Isaac Oberforce Mensah. It has to do with at a point when there was some disagreement between the board of the audit service and the Auditor General over transfer of some staff of the audit service. And so he came to court asking that the court determines the extent of independence of the Auditor General and whether he has the power to exercise such administrative powers over his staff as well. When the case was called today, Kizito Bayu, a private legal practitioner, announced himself as lawyer for the Auditor General. Then Chief State Attorney Sylvester Williams also announced that he's representing the Attorney General's office as well as the Auditor General. And so at that point, the court made a point that, it's fine, it's a bit strange, and so they should resolve that particular issue. Deputy AG Godfrey Yeboah-Dame was still in court, rose up to speak and made a point that he thinks that in this particular matter too, it should be the Attorney General should be a defendant in the case, since it's a civil and a constitutional issue that is being raised, and not the Auditor General coming with its own lawyers. And so the court said that he expects that they resolve that issue too. And what's interesting to note is that two different statements of cases have been filed, one by the Attorney General's office and another by the Auditor General, Daniel Domelovo.
Joseph Akablay is our court correspondent, and as you heard him there, the Supreme Court has struck out a request to restrain Johnson Esiedu from acting as Auditor General. Now, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, is expected to release its findings into the contracts for sale scandal exposed by Manasseh Aziriah-Winnie. The investigative story revealed how Talent Discovery Limited, a company incorporated in June 2017, won a number of government contracts through restrictive tendering. Here are excerpts of that investigative report.
By reviewing contracts that will either sole source or procured through restrictive tender, the Akufo-Addo administration has made savings of 2.75 billion.
This is the contract for the construction of this road. How I came by this contract is both intriguing and disturbing.
If I understand you, we are having companies who are operating like the Guru boys, so more or less a Guru company. Goodness, God save this country. This is you can check this.
So, two government institutions, SHRAJ and the Special Prosecutor's Office, were petitioned following the release of this report. But given an update on today's edition of Corruption Watch on the Super Morning Show, investigative journalist Manasseh Aziriah-Winnie says the Special Prosecutor's Office is yet to look into the story 11 months on.
My sources at SHRAJ tell me that work is almost concluded, and they are likely to come out any moment soon. But there's one institution that I do not think anything will come out of it, and that has to do with the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And I say this because when you do an investigative report and then any state institution is asked to go and then do a follow-up. Normally, they would invite you to ask you more questions and ask if you have other pieces of information that you were not able to put in the documentary or story. I can tell you as I speak that almost a year since the story broke, Martin Amidu and his office is yet to reach out to me. It was rather Shraj that reached out to me. I met them and gave them the raw footages and more recordings than what was contained in the documentary. I also met with the Auditor General and he commissioned his team to work on this. Because I don't know why the Office of the Special Prosecutor may not be interested in this case.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition says the country does not need new policies or structures to fight corruption, but a committed government that will guarantee the independence of existing state institutions to fight the menace. Brightsoe speaks for the group.
We don't really need new structures and new offices and new operations and that sort of thing. We already have those structures in place. The fundamentals to fight corruption in terms of the frameworks are already in place. What we need is leadership that can guarantee the independence of those institutions. Leadership that can guarantee resources in those institutions to work. And also need from our institutions is leadership that can say, this is the mandate of our office. We are going to go A, B, C, D way to deliver on those mandates. So at some point in time, let's also be bold as citizens to say, look, yes, the political leadership is there, they are the ones we elect, but also they do to direct the questions to those institutions themselves to go to answer.
Brightsoe speaks for the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Still ahead, CEO of Mental Health Authority expresses worry about court's decision to charge the Ijusu Secondary Technical School student who attempted to take his own life.
I thought he was being taken to court for the theft, but it's like it's not for the theft per se, but for the attempted suicide. If that is so, it's unfortunate. I think he should be seen as a patient in this matter.
Stay for details as emerging videos show assistant headmaster who detained the two students overnight in his office may have been abusing students before the latest incident.
DSTVS and the leaks are getting back. The big boys are back.
Is your heart racing yet? I know mine is.
Yeah, crowd near the live sports papa Ebrel. Gigi Dow couch muna budget favorite stars here. Well, we are sporting leaks are getting papa no so.
Sergio Aguero has conspired in the final. Cristiano Ronaldo! Something special for his hat-trick goal. Messi does it. A priceless goal from Lionel Messi. Trauma from day one. This is the league we want to watch.
Central DSTV Lutum. Never start here. We'll support your money now. We'll be able to pay. DSTV. Live sports. Be able to pay.
And you're welcome back to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. It's time for sports, and Hans Mensah Ando has details.
Now, former Ghana striker Augustine Ahimful has commended Black Stars skipper Andre Ayew for showing mental strength by returning from his loan stint at Fenerbahce to get Swansea to the brink of sealing qualification back to England's top division. Swansea lead Brentford 1-0 from the first leg of their Championship playoff semi-final thanks to Ayew's 81st minute strike, and will seal qualification to the final should they avoid defeat or outscore Brentford. Ahimful believes Swansea season owes a lot to Ayew's decision to return to the Championship club after his loan stint in Turkey.
For him to leave, come back from Fenerbahce on loan and still decide to play in the Championship, like I've stated, is mental toughness. He never looked down upon himself. He thought he could give more back to the team, because Swansea is a parent club. Fenerbahce is a big club, we all know. And so for him to come back and also put the team on his shoulders to want to carry them all the way to the Premiership, I think it will take only a dedicated person to achieve that. All that we can say is that he's done well this season. He's left with potentially 2 matches to go, and we wish him all the best.
And that's former Ghana striker Augustine Ahimful, ending sports.
Now, if you're a parent, you may want to pay attention to this, because Vice President of the Ghana Psychiatrists Association has revealed that suicide is prevalent among senior high school students. In the past few days, we've reported how a senior high school student had attempted suicide after he was caught allegedly stealing an electric stabilizer. Video footage available to Love News shows the assistant headmaster of Ejusis Secondary Technical School, who detained 2 students overnight in his office, may have been abusing students before the latest incident. Erastus Asaredonko has been speaking with eyewitnesses and examining fresh evidence of maltreatment in which students are seen crawling on their knees by the roadside. Here's his report.
According to school authorities, a taxi driver spotted the 2 students in the evening trying to scale over the school wall with a hidden item. He arrested and handed them over to the assistant headmaster, who retrieved the stolen stabilizer. Assistant headmaster Kofi Apia told Love News he asked the students to strip naked to their underwear and lock them up in his office until the next day.
So I was trying to inquire from them where they got it, and they were not trying to tell me the truth. And it was late in the night. School management, the student teachers weren't around, headmaster too wasn't around, and I didn't want to take any decision outside them. So I decided to keep them in my office, so that the following morning, that is today, when the head comes, and then the other management members also come, then we sit on the issue and then we trash it out. Unfortunately, there was this liquid soap there that they used to clean the office. I don't know what happened, and then one of the students took it. So right now, the other guy, they have taken the other guy to the police, and this one too is at the hospital.
Is it true they were stripped to their boxer?
Oh, yeah, and I guess they were wearing some white shirt, and then I said you should take the white shirt off, and they were wearing the boxer all right. But you see, the police, I can take you there, is very nice police. The fan was there, the light was there, everything was there, everything clean.
As you may already know, the student who attempted to take his own life has already been charged, but Chief Executive Officer of the Mental Health Authority, Dr. Akwesiose, says that should not have been done.
Initially, what took him to, at least his colleague, to the court was the criminal aspect, the theft. But then, before he himself could go to court, he had attempted suicide. I thought he was being taken to court for the theft, but it's not for the theft per se, but for the attempted suicide. If that is so, it's unfortunate. I think he should be seen as a patient in this matter. After the issue of attempted suicide and whatever was causing the attempt, then they can go back to theft case if they want to. But for the attempted suicide, for them to take him to court because it's attempted suicide, then it means we still are not appreciating the point that many of the causes are actually coming from mental issues. Indeed, in this boy's case, what seems to me to be at the bottom of it is an acute stress reaction. The fact that he has been involved in this matter and the embarrassment that faces him, a possibility of going to court and being jailed, all that precipitated an acute stress reaction in him, for which, on impulse, he decided to take his life. It's a mental health issue, and it should be treated as such.
Meanwhile, Vice President of the Ghana Psychiatrists Association, Dr. Ruth Owusu-Entry, says parents, teachers, and anyone who's handling senior high school students must be educated on suicidal tendencies of such students.
Actually, a study has been done among senior high students that this kind of risk or behavior was found to be very prominent among SHS students. One of the reasons that has been identified in this group as a risk factor is psychological pain or to escape shame in this particular group of people. And so when the headmaster decided that I needed to take an action, if he had information or he had how would I do it? If he thought about suicide, then he would have put measures in place and probably not taking the step he took.
Dr. Ruth Owusu-Entry is Vice President of the Ghana Psychiatrists Association. Now let's do Arrival Live. If you're one of those who don't like wearing seat belts, we bring back the voice of former hip life musician Yal Siki, who says God and his seatbelt are the reasons he's alive today after he was involved in an accident on the Tema motorway.
And so later I asked my friend what happened, and he said he was speeding on the motorway, and a taxi driver came from behind and overtook him. You know? So in the process of swerving, he lost control, and the car got off the road, somersaulted like 3 times, and landed on its head like that. Yeah, so doctor said that while I was in the car upside down like that in seat belts with head injuries and arm injuries and bleeding, one of my leg bones had broken, and the broken leg bone was 1 inch away from my respiratory system in my neck here, and if I had pressed on it, I would have lost my breath in seconds. You know, so 1 inch away from death, God gave me a second chance.
Hip Life musician Yasiki telling you why you need to be wearing your seatbelt to arrive alive. That's one of 3 tracks released in his monthly playlist. Ghanaian hip-hop star EL trended yesterday when he threw in the tracks Heroes Have Fun, No Peace, and JJ Rawlings.
Obviously I'm chilling, caught up in the mission. Afford in the better, quality of living. Yeah, my niggas only real niggas and they call me the realest. Young on these bars, I'm a part of you with lyrics. Call me the guard, you could all be delivered. Part of me, I'm going on the order, see I'm tripping. Ain't no shook ones when you walking with killers. Don't f with the Lord, we gon' cross any river. Ball till we fall, we all could be diminished. Lord, please forgive us. Yeah, heroes have no fun, me, I wanna be the villain.
So that's hip-hop musician EL spitting a lot of bars. And Kari from our entertainment desk joins me now. What do you think about this?
Yeah, you know,
this is one really talented guy.
Yeah, this is something that we're all expecting, we're all waiting for, because the leaks one came out and then it was fire.
Yeah.
So with this leaks too, we are not disappointed once again. EO is always, making it happen.
Yeah.
And it's good that he featured someone from Nigeria as well on the next track, which is
JJ Rawlings.
JJ Rawlings.
A lot of people are talking about
and Gemini Rawlings. Yeah, let's listen to it.
Yeah.
The boss sitting nigga, hard rhythm nigga. You can YouTube or Google me, all award winning nigga. Roberta Cavalli and Versace all in it. The only thing I love more than women is more women nigga. When I rap, DJ Dolly, I know they see you step. Nowadays I'm way charged. I stay to Boston on these suckers and make fortunes. Remains awesome to the day that I lay cautious. Shut up, I'm more than a great artist. Ain't caution when addressing me, pay homage. Just keep for sure, I know they entertain nonsense. It's a coolie party.
So hip-hop star AL spitting those bars there. We'll bring you more of that after the news. But this is how we wrap up the midday news. Our top story, shops of over 100 Nigerian traders at Obusokan shut down by their Ghanaian counterparts. We heard from the Nigerians who are vowing to resist the closures. Also, Member of Parliament for Asawasi takes on security agencies for standing by, unconcerned after MPP sympathizer allegedly pulled a gun at a registration center at Abuabo number 1. There's more of such stories on myjoyonline.com. I'm Araba Koomson. Have a good afternoon.